Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get you more updates. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Chinese counterpart Wang on Thursday on the sidelines of the ASEAN-related foreign ministers' meetings. Their talks were focused on finding an early resolution of the remaining issues along the line of actual control to stabilize and rebuild bilateral relations. Both the leaders also agreed on the need to work with the purpose and urgency to achieve complete disengagement at the earliest. Dr. S. Jaishankar emphasized on the need to ensure full respect of line of actual control and past agreements to stabilize the bilateral ties. He also stressed on the importance of three mutuals, that is mutual respect, mutual interest and mutual sensitivity to the bilateral ties. India and China will hold an early meeting of the working mechanism on consultation and coordination on India-China border affairs to take the discussions forward. All right, Chris Gilbert joins us from Tokyo. Chris, good morning. Now, ASEAN meeting is themed at enhancing connectivity and resilience. The plenary session has already begun. Let us get more from you as to what would be on the agenda.
The main focus for all of ASEAN at this summit is surely going to be the ongoing civil war in Myanmar, because a year ago they set a 5-point consensus plan as a group to try and find a resolution to that civil war as quickly as possible, which focused on an immediate cessation of violence, constructive dialogue amongst all parties, an envoy from ASEAN to facilitate the mediation, ASEAN providing humanitarian assistance and regular visits by that mediator to Myanmar. Now the problem is that Myanmar has effectively said no and ignored that 5-point consensus, really raising questions about how effective it is as a group. Of course, ASEAN was formed as to coordinate trade amongst Southeast Asian nations primarily. It doesn't have a lot of teeth, and so it can make declarations of its intentions, but it is not necessarily efficient at doing so. But it is important to note at that point that there are heavy hitters from the international community present. There are the foreign ministers from Russia, China, India, the US, Japan, members who are countries that are not part of ASEAN but are part of these dialogues and these summits. And this is necessarily an opportunity for them, experts say, to wedge their influence into the affairs and try and get some resolutions, because countries like the Philippines are becoming concerned about spillover effects from the Myanmar conflict. And there are also other very pertinent issues on the agenda as well. Of course, many countries, including Malaysia, Brunei, Vietnam, the Philippines, are concerned about the ongoing expansion of the Chinese presence in the South China Sea. There has been some talks about resolving that between the Philippines and China already, but there may look to be a code for the sea that could be created potentially from this summit. But the focus foremost, especially with the location being in Laos, is certainly going to be the ongoing disruption in Myanmar.
All right, Chris, very quickly. Now, this is the 57th ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting, and the issues which you've put forth, how binding is it for the countries to stick to whatever is being discussed and put forth? And also, very quickly, explain to us the footing of ASEAN as a grouping on the global page.
Well, as I say, experts, are fairly agreed that it doesn't have a lot of teeth. It doesn't have a lot of binding agreements. It can set resolutions and it can set intentions, but it doesn't have the same power as some other blocks or groups of multilateral agreements. But this is where the heavy hitters come in. For example, experts are saying that countries like India, like China, that share a border with countries like Myanmar, have a key role to play here in setting the tone of how to pursue, mediation for the end to the civil war in Myanmar. That, as India, as part of the Indo-Pacific countries like India, and the work by, Foreign Minister Jaishankar is key in implementing the tone and setting the resolution for the South China Sea disputes. And so this is an absolutely crucial opportunity for countries like China, for countries that are opposed or challengers such as the United States, and for countries which are somewhat balancing the tightrope between the two, such as India, to assert influence over ASEAN. And the bottom line of all of this is trade. The South China Sea sees $5 trillion of trade go through it annually. All parties involved are interested in the capital, and that is what is also absolutely paramount here. And so while ASEAN itself is not necessarily a politically binding organization, absolutely instrumental in setting the tone of policy, the tone of direction and dialogue for other powerful countries to follow.
All right, Chris, we'll leave it here. Thank you for joining in.